Hi, future me. What's it like having a fully developed frontal lobe? What up, gamers? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be doing a Dear Future Self video for myself to react to in 4 years. So if you watched my last video, you'll see I did a reaction video to the Dear Future Self video I made 4 years ago. So my 22-year-old self reacting to my 18-year-old self. So hello 26-year-old Michelle. Yeah, I'm a little bit late on this video. Today is August 6, 2024, but for the sake of my future self, I'm gonna pretend it's June 6th. But yeah, as you can see, I have moved into my new apartment for this year. So yeah, I'm near campus now for med school. I'm gonna start with my thoughts and reflections on college. So I graduated high school and also started college in 2020. And as all of us know, that was the year of COVID. And yeah, as you might expect, it sucked. So right at the start of school, I moved in early because my school had this pre-orientation program for students of color. So we moved onto campus a few days earlier than the rest of the students. So we had our own separate pre-orientation with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And so yeah, most of our stuff was on Zoom. And honestly, that was probably like the best time that I had freshman year was during that orientation. Like literally it all went down from there. I met a bunch of cool people during that pre-orientation and also a few not so cool people. But yeah, I think it was just the excitement of, starting college, of starting in a new place. And so everyone was just excited to meet people and it was super fun. But yeah, as soon as the actual orientation happened with our entire freshman class, and then later classes started, that was when stuff started to go downhill. The friend group I had formed early on quickly fell apart until it was just the 3 of us. And then later in the summer, it became just the 2 of us. It was basically, and then there were none. Literally, it started with 6, and then it was down to 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then finally 2. But I'm glad to report that I still have one bestie from freshman year. So shout out Anusha. But yeah, as for the rest of my freshman year, my second semester was like definitely the worst era of my college experience and possibly also my life. Actually, something else happened senior year that might have been worse, but we'll get to that. Basically, I think it was the transition into college, worrying that things were gonna change too much and never be the same again. Sounds really dramatic, but that's basically the vibes of what I was feeling. Also, I was starting to get behind in my classes and I was really stressed. I would stay up all night reading for this one class I was taking, and then I would literally be so tired that I would just fall asleep while I was studying. There was literally a time where I missed my chem lecture 3 days in a row, and it was pretty bad. That being said, we only met in person once a week, so it was literally a random Wednesday, and I would oversleep 3 Wednesdays in a row. But yeah, that was a low point for me. But yeah, that was freshman year. Sophomore year sucked because I was taking orgo and my professor was really mean. But yeah, during sophomore year, I started to make more friends. And then half of those friends graduated because they were seniors, so that was sad. But yeah, it was definitely better than freshman year, although the bar is literally in hell. And then junior year was definitely the best year out of those 3 so far. I made some more new friends and started to become closer to some of the old friends I had made. And then senior year. So senior year was really fun. And then shit hit the fan. So this huge thing happened a few weeks into senior year and my entire friend group imploded and basically split in half. So I'm gonna gloss over this so much. There's literally so many details and nuances and whatever that I could literally talk for hours about this. But number 1, I don't want to. And number 2, there was so much drama involved with this and I don't want to dig that shit up again, nor do I want to relive it. So I'm just gonna TLDR this. By the way, to my future self watching this, cut this part out of the reaction video. We do not need these negative vibes in 2028. We are leaving this shit in 2024 where it belongs. Basically, you finally get a bit of an answer to this cryptic ending to one of my past vlogs. It's my senior year, so here's to spending more time with friends and having a good senior year. Let's go. Well, that's not what happened. But that's a story for another time. By the way, this happened on my birthday, which is great. So basically on my birthday, we had a birthday dinner with all my friends. It was great. And then I was gonna have a party later that night, but some of my friends wanted to go to this on-campus event. So they went to that while I was setting up for my birthday party. So I wasn't there when this happened, so I heard about it afterwards. But basically, 2 of my friends were having this conversation by themselves, and between them there was a misunderstanding. So basically one friend thought the other friend was making a problematic joke, and then he started repeating that joke to our other friends once they met up with our other friends. And so everyone thought they were both making this problematic joke and just like making light of it. So they got super pissed, and then this one person told some other people who got hella pissed. And so it was this whole thing that blew up. So those two friends decided not to come to my party because they didn't want to upset the other friends even more. But then all those other friends decided not to come. So then I just didn't have a party. And there's more to this that I'm gonna get to. But in the moment, it was so shitty because I was expecting to have a party, obviously. But after I found out from those two friends about what happened, dampened the mood. But I was hoping that at least all my other friends were still gonna come, and then they didn't. So that gets us to part 2. Okay, for the sake of this video, let's call my two friends Bob and Stuart. So the next day, one of my friends Bob reaches out to me and one of my other friends who also was not at the party or the event, so she had no idea what happened. So he reaches out to us and he says like, hey, can we talk? And he explains the situation. And basically, he wasn't making a problematic joke. He said something, and basically Stuart had misunderstood what he said and thought he was making a problematic joke. And then, as mentioned before, he started repeating it. And then our other friends, and then also other people who were like mutual friends, I guess, heard, and then they got upset because they just thought they were making a problematic joke. And we didn't find out until we had talked to both Bob and Stuart separately that there was even a misunderstanding between the two of them, because Bob was saying a non-problematic thing, but then Stuart thought he was being problematic, and that's why he repeated it. And so Bob didn't realize that Stuart didn't understand what he was actually trying to say and thought Stuart was trying to make it out to be that he was making a problematic joke. And then Stuart thought that Bob was just straight up making a problematic joke. And then that just got worse and worse and worse as more people found out about it. But yeah, it was really bad. Like, effectively, like socially, they had been canceled, like, by our community on campus. And then obviously after talking to them, me and my other friend knew the truth. But all the other friends in our friend group who were there and thought they had witnessed Bob and Stuart being problematic, they basically cut off Bob and Stuart like completely. They left our friend group chat. They never even found out what actually happened until way later. And honestly, from my perspective, I thought it was kind of shitty. Like, they just left the group chat. So to me, it felt like they were like done with the friend group in general. And I say that because basically Bob and Stuart had said their own pieces apologizing for what happened, and then they were like, I understand if you don't want to associate with me, and they left the group chat. So then like the other friends leaving the group chat felt unnecessary because like the two perpetrators had already left. So them leaving the group chat after the two perpetrators had left felt like they were just done with the other friends too, even though like I wasn't there and my other friend also wasn't there. And then so it was that, and then the whole thing about, like I said, effectively Bob and Stuart were like canceled within the campus community. And after finding out what actually happened, it was like super frustrating because all these people think they were justified in how they were viewing and treating Bob and Stuart, but there was no way for them to know what actually happened because everyone thought they knew what happened. And it was only through talking to them that we found out the truth to begin with. And then with our friends that ditched our friend group, it felt really shitty because I feel like as someone's friend, if your friend does something like stupid or morally reprehensible perhaps, maybe I'm crazy for this, but I would want to know why they did it. But those friends basically thought they knew what happened and just decided they didn't need an explanation, I guess. So they just like never bothered to listen to Bob and Stuart's side of the story. And again, I'm not trying to stir shit up. I don't know if anyone from my school is going to be watching this, but I'm just saying this as like how I felt in the moment. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me a long time to get over it. It took us all a long time to get over it. Like literally the entirety of the fall semester and also well into the spring semester, like every time I thought about the situation, I would get mad. Again, not trying to stir shit up, this is just my thoughts and feelings at the time that this stuff happened. But yeah, there's so much more bullshit that came with this, but for the sake of this video, I'm just not gonna get into it. But yeah, that was my TLDR of this whole situation. But if there's one good thing that came out of it, like I said, I was super angry during this time, and I was also taking a creative writing class. So I channeled all of this negative energy into some great writing. But if you want to hear about those, I made a video where I read some of the writing I wrote for this class, including one which is about a female vindictive serial killer, if anyone is interested in that. But yeah, speaking of writing, I used to really like writing as a kid. For some reason, I had a dream of becoming a teacher / author, and I also specifically wanted to be #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. But yeah, back to my point about writing. Taking that creative writing class reminded me how much I liked writing. And then also for graduation, our graduation speaker is actually a best-selling author. And so her speech combined with all of this stuff kind of makes me want to write again. So effectively, I've reinstated my goal of wanting to be a published author and possibly #1 on a New York Times bestseller list, although I think that's a bit ambitious. For now, I'll settle for being a published author. So yeah, I want to get back into writing, and I do want to publish a book sometime in the future. Definitely not the near future, because I don't have time for that right now. Going back to my recap and reflection on my college experience, that whole situation definitely ruined the vibes for the bulk of the first half of senior year, and also some of the second half. But through that, I also became much closer with the friends that I still had, and also made some new friends as well. So shout out to the sussy sluts. I guess the end of senior year was like somewhat decent. Definitely not as good as it could have been if all this shit didn't happen, but it was tolerable. Here's a clip of me walking the stage.
Michelle, magna cum laude.
I feel like I glossed over a lot of stuff that happened in college, but the truth is I cannot remember what happened. The post-grad brain rot is real. And honestly, it's probably better that I don't remember it. It can stay in the past. The bulk of my college career was working towards getting into med school. So to that end, worrying about doing well on tests, doing well in my classes, studying for the MCAT, and then ultimately worrying about whether or not I would get into med school. But I got in, so that's all over now. So now I'm gonna go and answer some time capsule questions. So basically in all my Dear Future Self videos, there's this set of questions that I always answer, and it originates in 8th grade when my writing teacher had us fill out this worksheet for our future self, and it had all these questions on it. And I guess they're cool questions to reflect on, to be like, oh, what was my favorite movie 4 years ago? So that's what this is. So the first question, my favorite college memory. So like I said, my college experience wasn't that great, but I literally just thought of one at this moment. So during senior year, there was like a span of days where school got canceled because it was winter, so it would snow, and then it would get warm, so the snow would melt, and then it would get cold again, so the snow would just freeze into ice on the sidewalk. And people were eating shit. So they ended up canceling class. So one of my friends invited all of us to his dorm room. So we just spent the night hanging out, watching movies, and playing Fall Guys and screaming. That was definitely a peak experience. It was just really nice to hang out with my friends and spend time together, and also laugh at how terrible we are at video games. So next, the second question. Every time I make these videos, I cringe at this question because whoever made it picked the worst wording possible, which is I make googly eyes at / have a crush on. The phrase googly eyes is just so why? But yeah, I have a boyfriend now, so I'd say him. The next question, the last good movie I saw. So last week I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, which was pretty good. MCU movies are like not that good anymore, but I enjoyed it. Next question, my favorite band / singer / songwriter. So I have a bunch, but right now my #1 is probably Glass Animals. They just released a new album pretty recently, and it's so good. My top 2 favorites from that album are Creatures in Heaven and Show Pony. I just love Glass Animals. Their vibe is just impeccable. I also really love their second newest album, Dreamland, and my favorite songs from that album are Heatwave, Domestic Bliss, and Helium. Some of my other favorite artists include The Driver Era, Joji, Rich Brian, Corpse Husband. I do love good rage music. Still like Black Bear. I started listening to Taylor Swift again as well. I used to be really into her in like elementary school and stuff, and then I stopped listening to her for a bit, and now I'm back. And I've also been trying to listen to more music in Chinese. I typically don't really like the popular music that's in Chinese because it tends to be like too mellow and like lovey-dovey-ish. So I've been listening to a lot of Chinese rap, and it is fun. So one of my favorite Chinese rappers is Lay, and I also kind of like the melancholy, like late night drive kind of vibe. It's kind of like Joji vibe, I guess. So here are some other songs that are in Chinese that fit that vibe. Highly recommend. But yeah, while we're on the topic of favorites, let's talk about some other favorites. So my favorite movies right now are Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is literally the most perfect movie ever. Literally every aspect of the movie hits so hard. It was just so real. And then a completely different genre, another one of my favorite movies is Tenet. I love a good time travel movie, and this one is pretty unique. Another time travel movie I actually quite like is called Triangle. Okay, slight spoilers, but it's this whole time loop thing, but the way they do it is also really cool and unique. And then some favorite TV shows, obviously #1 has to be Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's just perfect. And then a lifelong favorite, of course, is Criminy Mushrooms. It has its highs and lows, but overall, it is a show I do quite enjoy. Honestly, it's the characters more than anything. And then I also really liked The Brother's Son, which also has Michelle Yeoh in it. It's like a Taiwanese American show. Like they speak a lot of Chinese in it, but also a lot of English. And then another Taiwanese show I really like is The Victim's Game, which is another crime show. And then I recently, just yesterday, I finished the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder TV show, and I honestly quite liked it. I really loved the book the first time I read it. Second time, not as much, but still pretty good. I honestly quite enjoyed the show. I thought they did a pretty good job adapting it, and it was funny and it was entertaining. So yeah. And then favorite books, y'all know what's coming. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. That's my favorite book of all time so far. Another time loop concept, but this one's pretty unique because the main character wakes up in a different body every day, so he basically lives his day out of order. Super complicated, but amazing. And then my recent favorite is a bit of a guilty pleasure. It's called I Hope This Never Finds You by Anne Liang. It honestly has such like massive fanfiction tropes, but I highly enjoyed it. I usually don't read like romance, but it was just fun. It was like funny, kind of ridiculous, and just fun. And then my favorite video games include Hogwarts Legacy. I was originally gonna make a video talking about Hogwarts Legacy, but then too much time passed since it came out, so I kind of decided against it. But if people are interested in my thoughts, maybe I'll make it. Maybe I'll make one when Hogwarts Legacy 2 comes out, although that'll probably be in like 5 years. And then I like Valorant sometimes when I'm not losing terribly. And then I recently replayed Knights of the Old Republic, which is like an old school Star Wars game, and that was pretty fun too. I actually didn't finish it yet. I've avoided doing the boss battle because I have a bunch of side quests that I haven't finished yet. So we'll see when I actually finish the game, but some last favorites, my favorite YouTubers slash streamers. Y'all know Offline TV and Friends, you know, Saikuno, Valkyrae. I've really been enjoying Yvonne's vlogs recently. They just have like such a good vibe to them. They're relaxing and fun to watch, and I can kind of live vicariously through her. And then I also really like Plant-Based Bride. She's like kind of a bullet journal slash booktuber. I've recently been really enjoying her like super type A videos, like how I annotate on ebook, how I annotate on physical books, her Notion. It's just fun. Okay, going back to the worksheet questions. So the next one is, my closest friends are my besties from high school, of course, Clannery, Izzy, Maggie, and Kathy. This is like testament to my brain rot, but I didn't realize until recently, like truly how long we've been friends. Like collectively as a group, we've only been like a set friend group since like senior year of high school, so about like 5 years. But for the most part, I've known like all 3 of them since like 3rd or 4th grade. So I've actually known pretty much all of them for like 15 years, which is like insane to think about. Like that's crazy, that's a long time. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, my friends from college as well, the Sussy Suits. Y'all know who you are. And I also wanted to give a special shout out to a couple of my friends from orchestra, Tessa and Andy. You guys slay. I don't know if they're watching this, but. And then the next question, undoubtedly my personal hero is blank because, as I've said in my previous videos, I don't think it's great to have a personal hero. Not necessarily that it's bad to, just that it's not really for me, because my last personal hero, which is the one that I wrote in 8th grade, was J.K. Rowling, and we all know how that turned out, so I'm just gonna say I don't have one. Next, if I've learned one thing in life, it's honestly the one that comes to the front of my mind right now is have empathy. And you know, at the surface, that's pretty like common sense, but on a deeper level, I think it's more like think more deeply about what other people are going through, I guess. And obviously I'm working on this too. I'm like pretty hot-headed, so if someone's rude to me out of nowhere, I'm gonna be mad, obviously. But maybe something to think about is maybe giving people some grace. Like, oh, this person's rude to me. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe this happened, and that's why they're upset, like blah, blah, blah. And maybe there's also the part that's like, oh, like this person didn't give me that same luxury, you know? Like they're being rude to me, but I'm gonna be empathetic and be nice to them back, even though maybe they don't deserve it in this moment. Maybe being more empathetic and understanding will just make our world a bit better. And the last question, my advice for myself in med school is, honestly, there's so much I could say for this, but a couple things I would say is I'm gonna repeat what I told myself 4 years ago, just before I started college, which is say yes to opportunities. Say yes to things. And then I don't like saying this because it's kind of corny, but like give yourself breaks. Take care of yourself. And then my third piece of advice for myself is just don't die. Don't slack off. Do well in med school. I feel like I've been doing too much reflecting and not enough like thinking about the future, I guess. So my future self watching this, what's it like being a doctor? Assuming you didn't fail, which hopefully you didn't. But yeah, I'm curious because right now I want to be a forensic pathologist, and I have since I started college, basically. I know it's pretty common for people to change their minds about what specialty they're interested in once they've gone through med school. But as of right now, I truly do not see any other specialty that I'm as interested in as I am forensic pathology. Like literally nothing beats it. not even regular pathology. But yeah, if I'm still into forensic pathology and everything goes to plan, I probably just match to a pathology residency program, which is pretty awesome. So congrats to you, future self. While I'm thinking about the future, let me talk about some goals I have. So by the time I'm watching this in the future, I hope to graduate med school and be placed in the residency program. And I'd also like to be monetized on YouTube. Hopefully by then I'll have enough subscribers and watch time, whatever stats, to be monetized. I think that'd be really cool because I've been into YouTube since I was a kid. I've always wanted to make videos, and I have for a while, like on and off, but I feel like this is the chance to really grow my YouTube channel. As of recording this, I'm at 427 subscribers. Let's see where I'm at in 4 years. I'm hoping at least 1,000, maybe. My YouTube has started growing since I started making videos about med school, so hopefully people are still interested in that and keep watching. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say for this video, besides good luck to my future self. But yeah, to everyone else watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!